Thank you very much, Joseph. When I was training in boxing for Roy Jones Sr., he always put out all kinds of philosophy. And one of the things that he used to say frequently was, if you're one way in one thing, you'll be that way in anything else. If you're a winner, you're a winner. If you're a quitter and a loser, you'll be a quitter and a loser. Anything you put the same energy and enthusiasm toward, you'll have the same results. So I put that to the test, in my efforts to become a Navy SEAL, and I proved him right. But Roy Jones Jr. used to say, yeah, but there's some guys, they can do that one thing and they can do it better than anybody else, but all they can do is that one thing. And to me, it bent my brain. That was incongruent. And then I got into financial services, and I transferred from being a mortgage real estate broker to financial services. And to me, it's pretty easy. You get the same information from the client, and with that information, you figure out what they have and where they want to be and when they want to retire, how much they want to have retire, how they're going to get there, right? So it wasn't that much, to me, that wasn't that far of a stretch. But when I started talking to other real estate and mortgage professionals and accountants and bookkeepers, they couldn't get it. It was like trying to teach a drunk woman how to do the contemporary double two-step. They just couldn't make that transition between side together side, walk, right? And it's the same thing. And it's been wrecking my brain for a long time. And a lot of what I talk about is trying to get people to understand that they can do more. They can be more. They don't have to settle for where they're at. And in the process, I started learning that with myself, that I was always climbing ladders, leaning against the wrong building, right? It wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. And I started working with my pastor, Clark Ortiz, to give me some faith-based business coaching. And he was given a sermon, and he was in the sermon, he mentioned something that sparked something in my mind. And what it is when people, you hear people talking all the time about their alternate route, okay, or their backup plan, right? And that's almost doomed for failure, because when you have an extreme desire for something and you have it long enough, it'll become part of your subconscious. Your amygdala, that part of your brain that regulates your fight or flight. Even when you're in a stressed mode, which your brain will go into what's called beta. When you're in beta, you can take in new information, but your brain won't process it until you get out of your stressful situation. And then once that happens, then all of a sudden your brain starts processing that information that you took in. It's stored in your brain, and you get these epiphanies, that pops like on your phone when you shut it off going into a meeting or a movie or church, and you turn it back on after an hour or two. You get all these messages and texts and notices. Your brain does the same thing. But people, when they don't have initial success, they'll often quit. I knew guys in boxing, they want to box their whole life. And then the first time they get in the ring to do real sparring, they're like, this ain't worth it. And they just drop what they had their whole life they've had the desire to do. In the SEAL teams, in SEAL training, only like 20 or 25% on average actually make it through training. My second time going through Hell Week, I went through twice. My second time, there was 120 guys started the class, 44 quit before breakfast Monday morning. If they told me to, I'd have stood on my head that long. Why is it that I made it and they didn't? over 100, almost 100 people didn't make it, and they were, they didn't let anybody in there. You had to qualify. You had to be at a high level to even get in. What was it? What was it that caused the difference? Why can some people get it, some people can't? Why can some people make that transition and some people can't? Well, what it is if it's not congruent with what their desire is that they've had for a long time, the picture in their mind of what they want to be, it won't work. And that's why a lot of people that go fall back to their secondary or their other option, their fallback position, that doesn't work either, because that's not congruent with the image that they've had for most of their life. Okay, so if you run into a setback trying to do that thing that you desired to be your whole life, it's better to plow through it, even if it's hard, than to fall back to your secondary, or fall, what they call it, your other option, right? So you got to know who you are. You got to know yourself, okay? Because if it's not congruent with who you are, going back to an easier strategy won't work either. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ruben, for that